So this is the robot. It's going to be sitting on top of a wheelchair power assembly. Like I said, it'll be about 6 inches taller than this. This is basically a lawnmower hood, and this is an old gun safe. And I'll show you, I've got a couple of the features worked out. I don't have everything running yet, but I'll show you a few of them. There's an arm with a ray gun that it gets activated when it extends. So I'll show you about the ray gun here. It's basically a space ray gun that's got a battery in there, and it's activated by a trigger right here. And you can see there's a paracord that runs across the trigger, and it runs through a guide all the way back to the arm, and it's hooked to the spring right here. So when the arm extends all the way up, this spring begins to pull on the string, and it activates the trigger. And basically, you can just adjust by the length of the rope that you have, or when you want it to come on. And I use a spring there to avoid damaging the trigger. So when it gets up to the high point, the spring will take up any slack, any extra slack that it needs to. I'll show you. You can see the spring extends a little bit, and now you can see it go off again. I'll show you one more time. See, the spring is collapsed, and when it comes up, you can see the spring is starting to get tension on it, and at that point, it's engaged the gun. So it's a real simple device, and it's kind of in the same spirit of how the mechanical robots work. And also, the head of the robot can be controlled. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to have it automated or control it manually with the remote control. I'll show you though how it does work. You can see it switches back and forth. And actually, I'm going to be running it on 24 volts, but I've got a 12 volt battery powering it, so it's a little slow. But I'll show you how it does that back and forth motion. It's very simple. So I'll show you the inner workings of how the head rotates automatically. I'll power it up now. So you can see there's a linear actuator moving. And when it gets to the end of the travel, it's adjustable with a steel cable. The spring acts on the switch right here. And there it's doing it again. You can see the spring stretching out and popping the switch into the alternate direction. And it'll just continue to do that. That's a double pole, double throw switch. And so I can just flip it like that myself and make it switch. But I have these cables that are anchored into the inside of the case, and you just adjust the length of the cable to give you the throw that you want. And I can also have this go through my remote control and control the head movement myself if I wanted to. And the springs actually just protect the switch from over travel. When they get to the end, they just absorb any excess movement. So this is basically the hood of a lawn tractor, and I'm using the headlights as eyes. I'll show you how that lights up. And this is just a double pole switch that's alternating the polarity of the voltage that's applied to this linear actuator. And the hood is mounted on a shaft, and this is actually a bearing from a car, a CD joint bearing up in there. So it'll just continue to do that for as long as it's powered. And so here's the face of the robot. This is basically a lawn tractor hood and front grille. And I'm using the headlights actually for eyes. I removed the reflective backing inside where the headlights are, and I printed out like a psychedelic pattern that goes behind the eyes to give it a different look. And the eyes will be mostly flickering. I'm going to have some circuits that change the brightness of the eyes, but they're usually pretty dim. But I'm going to have a smoke generator in the case, and the smoke generator is activated. Air comes through the grill. I'm going to have the light brighten up and back up the smoke. You can see the lights change pretty bright. It gives the full to a bulb. But normally they'll be just kind of low and flickering. And I'm going to take cues from the little metal robots that I've been looking at, the toy robots, where they have a spinning disc that's serrated, and that spinning disc actually makes and breaks contacts to the lights or the LEDs, and it gives it like a flickering, fluttering effect. And so I'm going to be doing that and maybe changing the speed of the motor based on the speed of the robot or something like that. I'm just going to try to keep everything as simple as possible. There's a lot of things you could do, with Bluetooth and all those kind of communication protocols. But I'm trying to keep it simple and kind of in the spirit of the metal robots from the 50s and 60s, where they're just kind of mechanical and automated. But I will have some remote controls on it to make it seem more alive and responsive. There's also a 20-watt audio amplifier that I have here that I'm planning to use. And there's a loudspeaker horn mounted up in here, so I can play some audio through it.